Thank you, Jerry, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for persevering till the last talk of the day. So, opening photo, that's a picture of a Bort Longyear rig on site at Babel. As we mentioned today, we've mobilised rigs out to site again today, and looking forward to another good partnership with Bort Longyear at competitive rates. Anton. Ladies and gentlemen, there will be forward-looking statements. As an explorationist, I live for forward-looking statements. So, Cassini have been around, well, we've presented at this conference for probably the last 6-7 years. We've been talking about our West Musgrave Project. I guess what we're sort of known for is bringing this project through the various stages. We've reached a critical point now in the PFS. It's a large nickel-copper sulphide project, one of the very few sort of projects of scale, but I think there's still a long way to go, and we're still working on ways to add value to this project. And I won't be talking about the market, but as you're probably all aware, there's a lot of talk in the industry about the battery metals thematic, which we're well positioned for. So 2019 is shaping up as quite an exciting year. The delivery of the PFS will happen sometime in the second quarter. That will probably be a catalyst for people looking at our company. We're already starting to see some of the larger investment firms start to value the project. Morgan Stanley only last week put a valuation out on the project. So when this PFS is delivered, I think that will be a significant catalyst for the company. But in the meantime, we're also looking at what we can do to add value to that project, and so we're quite active in our regional exploration, which Cassini is still managing. I want to emphasise the word partnership there with Oz Minerals. To call them a JV partner would probably do them an injustice. They are a great company to work with, and looking forward to taking this project through all the stages, through construction into mining with them. People always ask us about where the funding is coming from, but I think all I can say at this point is that we've got multiple options, and we'll steadily work through those options through the year. And in the background, we've also got our projects in our own right. It's important that we don't just get bogged down in a development story. We want to give the investors out there the opportunity to realise the benefits of exploration success at every opportunity. So there's a little corporate snapshot. We've tracked along all right for the last 12 months. We have turned over some of our share register in November, welcomed some new shareholders onto the register, and it's good to see a lot of our shareholders here today. Macca, speaking of relationships, Macca sold out last year. They were a great shareholder for the last 3 years. I guess that's been one of the fundamentals of Cassini, is that we have enjoyed these long relationships with some key investors. So there's a snapshot of our project. As I said, the West Musgrave Project is our core focus, but we also develop a few projects in our own right, and I guess what we're focused on is projects that generally have scale. They tend to be early stage or greenfields kind of projects, and as you can see, they're all in Western Australia. So this is our sweet spot. To use a football analogy, it's always nice to play on your home ground, and this is our home ground. Last year we did do a program at the West Arunta. That's a zinc project. We've had a little bit of success there, but I guess what our challenge now is to prioritise those other projects, and I think this year you'll see us putting a bit more attention into Mount Squires and our Yarrawinda Brook option. So we'll just talk about the West Musgrave Project to begin with. It's a pretty significant land holding with one of the larger nickel and copper resources in Australia. I guess the purpose of putting that up there is just to remind everybody that 30% of something that big is actually pretty significant. So while we might be a minor party, this is actually pretty sizable for a junior company. So looking more into the project itself, there's about a 40-kilometre strike of mineralisation from end to end. In 2018, we've had a lot of success. One Tree Hill, early stage prospect, not a lot of holes. We'll look at that in a second. Nebo and Babel continue to grow while we're primarily doing infill drilling to improve our resource confidence. There's still extensions to be found there. We'll look at that again. Yapsu, another early stage prospect, got a lot of affinities to what we see at Nebo. That is higher grade, massive sulphide with a disseminated component. And what we've put out to the market this week is Sukhoth, which is really starting to come of age. So Nebo Babel, still growing. I guess that picture just shows some EM conductors. Geophysics works really well at this project. Very few false positives, so that's driving our exploration. And I guess what we're showing there is that there's mineralisation outside the 2017 scoping study pit. So there's lots of upside left in there, and in fact we drilled our best ever nickel intersection at Nebo last year. There's not a lot I can talk about in terms of the PFS at the moment. It's a massive body of work. We've got a team of probably 8 in the project team, plus another dozen people who move in and out. But what we can talk about, and this is probably the most important, is the metallurgy. So those metallurgy results were put out last year, and I'll just draw your attention to the variance in the bottom line of that table. That's variance on top of our 2017 scoping work. So this is our PFS metallurgy, if you like, and what you're seeing there is massive improvements in nickel and copper recovery, and you can imagine, I think what you'll see is that'll have a significant improvement on our project economics. And this week's Sukhoth. We've had a resource on Sukhoth since 2015, and it was based on a kind of vertical slab-like geology. Very sparsely drilled, a very small number of holes, 40 holes at about 200 metre spacings. But since about 2016, we've been working on this, thinking that something's not right. Just towards the end of late last year, we drilled 3 really important drill holes. And credit to Zoran Seed, our exploration manager, and his geological team. There's a before and after of what Sukhoth we think now looks like. And so we've gone from a vertical model to a folded geometry. And I think the key thing there is what's that going to do for our resource, and probably what's it going to do from a mining perspective as well. Thick, flat lodes are much better from an open pit mining perspective, and I think what we'll see is, what it's telling us is that we really need to give a bit more consideration to Sukhoth. So the current resource, if anybody saw the hot chili presentation earlier, that sort of resource grade compares fairly well to a copper porphyry in South America. I've put the PGE value up there because that's predominantly palladium, and if you're following palladium price, you know that it's higher than gold at the moment. So that's a very important byproduct. But I guess what's really important here is all the holes that are inside that resource. That's the resource outline as it currently stands, and we think there's plenty of room for this to grow. And of course, it's a copper resource at the moment, but every now and then we get a sniff of nickel, and it's a story that we've been building and will continue to work on. That is, where is the missing nickel in Sukhoth, and that could really be a game changer. I've called Sukhoth the sleeper. It's the sort of thing that you have in the bottom drawer. Nebo Babel is obviously still in the top drawer, but I think slowly Sukhoth is starting to come up into into our thinking. And then, of course, One Tree Hill is an early stage exploration target. It's been a step-by-step sort of approach. Every hole has led on to the next. Our last program last year identified a really large EM conductor off hole. That conductor is projected onto that section. It's the largest one we've seen at the project so far. We know there's massive sulphide there in some of our earlier drilling, and so first exploration hole this season will be to plug a hole straight through the middle of that conductor. So look forward to seeing the results of that probably late in the quarter or early in next quarter. In terms of the PFS, look, it's progressing well. The PFS will be delivered sometime in the second quarter. I don't think it's any mystery or surprise that Oz Minerals will go through their 70% earn-in at some point at about the same time, or if not sooner. But we also have some other exploration projects. As I said, it's important to keep doing things in our own right. Yarrawinda Brook, just on the doorstep of Perth, which is a little bit unusual for us. We're used to working out in the desert, but this is an opportunity where we can apply some of our learnings from the West Musgrave and other magmatic nickel-copper systems into a project that's been previously overlooked. The last drilling here was in 2007, just before the GFC, and there's been more or less nothing since. We've done a lot of geophysics, which has confirmed the mineralisation as it was previously sort of defined, but also identified some new conductors. So what we're doing here is we're not interested in a one-hit wonder. We want another mine camp, and we've been building our land position. We've had a bit of encouragement. We've been building our land position to sort of secure that mine camp. And of course, Mount Squires. This is a gold project that's right alongside our West Musgrave project. It's not part of the JV. It's ours in our own right. We can do what we want. I think it's always good to have a bit of gold in your portfolio, particularly at record Australian gold prices. There has been some previous work. They've identified, economic grade mineralisation very close to surface. Folks, you just can't do everything all the time. But this project demands some action this year, and we're looking forward to getting out there and doing some geochem, early stage RAB or RC drilling. So, we're doing the desktop work, if you like, at the moment, acquiring new data sets with a view to being on the ground later in the year. So, and just to touch on some of our corporate objectives, obviously it's still all about the West Musgrave, where we are an active partner and we think we can still add value. We've got to execute a funding solution that doesn't dilute our existing shareholders by good capital management, and also work on some of our other exploration projects, keep everybody in the game. But of course, going back to point 3, we don't want to dilute ourselves too much. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the Cassini story. You're getting exposure into one of the very few large-scale projects. There's a dearth of good nickel sulphide projects out there. The laterites tend to dominate the scene, but the sulphides are the ones that are most sought after. We've got a great partner in Oz, gives us a lot of confidence that they're going to do everything in their power to get this thing up. There's still plenty of exploration opportunity. We think we've got a funding solution, and of course there's the overall, we're delivering into a fairly positive nickel and copper outlook with the battery thematic. So, ladies and gentlemen, I could talk about this for a lot longer, but come by the booth and we'll make some more forward-looking statements. Thank you.
Thank you very much.